Does she know who you are?
I don't think so.
Good. Remember, no one must know of this
place. It's your lair. The only place where you can escape all the world and society. Your only privacy, your only training ground, your fortress. I know.
Adam finished for his mentor. Night Shadow smiled at this as he approached the glass tanks in the back of the room. Have you completed your analysis of the Blood Gang?
Yes.
And?
The jewelry stores or the bakeries will be next.
And the Ace Gang?
The museum.
And the Mexican cartel?
Their newest leadership has been rumored to be moving north.
Again, another unseen proud smile. Well done, Adam. Patrol again tonight and see what happens first. Adam kept staring at the images of Kathy alongside her various data on the screen as Night Shadow silently paced back to the stairs and began to climb them into the shadows again.
What do you think?
What do you think? Night Shadow reflected back with the tone of a curious mentor, seeing if his lessons had taken effect. After a moment,
I think we need to watch her more,
Adam responded. And why is that?
I just feel like she could be helpful.
Night Shadow whispered as he left and nodded. As do I. Again, a car burned rubber to get away from a bank entrance as guards sprinted out after it, conveniently just a little too late. The car barreled down the road, stopping for nothing. A bike peeled out of a side road nearby and came around behind them. They blasted through a red light, barely missing some cars. So did the motorcycle behind them.
So, can't shake our mystery biker friend, eh?
It's fine.
Let him catch up.
The bike suddenly lurched forward with a burp of blue fire from its exhaust tubes and came alongside the speedy getaway car full of cash and crooks. The same metal rod, with a round heavy tip, came out and smashed the window while they drove at incredibly dangerous speeds through streets anyone could step out into. The window somewhat chips. The thief inside presses his face to the window and makes it as mocking as possible.
Reinforced windows, you wanker! Ha ha!
The biker doesn't seem to mind, though, as he grabs something else off his belt and flicked it. Several incredibly sharp-looking blades extended from its center. The thug's expression turned from evil glee to curious wonder to finally sudden terror as the bike slowed and the rider tossed the blades into the back tire. Being thrown, they seemed to eject and launched themselves into the thick tires, blasting the air out of them suddenly with a loud pow. The tire shredded near instantly, and the bare wheels slammed into the pavement, showering the rider and the road with sparks. The car inevitably slowed.
We gotta find a new ride, boys! Get ready to bail!
They all grabbed guns and sacks. The car slowed enough that they could step out without tumbling to a fall, and they ran ahead of the car towards someone about to get into theirs.
Where's the bike?
One thug asked dumbly. As if to answer, the cycle came blasting out of the street they were just crossing from, the perpendicular one, and a thick metal rod shattered the man's arm at the humerus. He slammed to the ground in agony, screaming. The bike screeched to a halt, and spun, and came back at another thug in a wheelie, using the cycle as a shield against the oncoming bullets, and the front tire as a weapon. Another man went down with a tire to the head, as that same rod cracked the head of another next to him. One left. The rider dismounted, and the thug, completely stunned at the whole scene, suddenly managed to look at his attacker and his comrades, assess the danger, and drop the money to run for it. But before he could run, he had to turn, and just as he exposed his back, the rider did a leaping sidekick that slammed the man's lower spine. He fell face first into the street, busting his own nose into the hard asphalt and knocking himself silly. Another stomp from a heavy black boot put him out for the count. And before the person about to enter the car they were about to steal could even rise up to full height from behind the door they were hiding behind, the bike was mounted again by the blue shadow, and he launched away. Kathy was so deep in thought that it took her over 3 minutes to tie her shoes. The events of the day and the night before kept circling through her mind. Running into the blue shadow at the warehouse was just an oversight on her part. But he had come to her school to return an old keychain. That was a nice gesture. But did he expect her to trust him so quickly? Then there was Phoenix, with his charming smile and unexpected scholarship, which she still didn't think she deserved. And although the two encounters were unrelated, it was a lot to take in. She had gone to the gym to ease her mind like she always did when too much seemed to be going on at once. The rock wall always helped to relieve her stress. It was also good practice for when she scaled a wall, or rappelled down a side of a building, to plant, or to retrieve a camera, a bug, or listening device. The police had gotten better at actually trying to stop crime in recent years, but she still felt they needed coaxing. Kathy had been secretly intervening in police affairs since the age of 16, when her parents had given her a car. A yellow VW Bug wasn't exactly the stealthiest getaway car, but she'd never really need to use it as one. She had a gift for being stealthy. 5 years of assisting the police without their knowledge, never spotted by anyone, thug or ally, until now. The blue shadow had seen her, though. And that was probably what bothered her most. If he had noticed her, who else? Or had already? "Hey girl, you look lost in thought. Worried about that test on Thursday?" Kathy looked up and into the smiling face of her friend, lab partner, and roommate, Quinn Rhodes. "There's a test on Thursday?" Quinn laughed. "Yeah, the one you've been studying for. You threw your notes all over the floor this morning. I remember because it was funny." "Oh," Kathy's heart began beating at a normal rate again. "I thought you meant there was a chemistry test. I've got anthropology pretty well covered. I've covered the room with it anyway." She laughed. Quinn had excellent timing. "You up for a climb?" Quinn's eyes sparkled. "I'll beat you to the bell this time. You're on." This was great. Climbing the rock wall, racing to ring a bell at the top, laughing with her friend. Kathy was beginning to feel much better, until a flash of blue caught her eye. It was only a soccer player's jersey, but she'd lost her focus. Her fingers fell micrometers short of the handhold. The guy belaying her was too busy chatting up a tall blonde to notice her mistake, and with nothing to slow her descent, she plummeted to the mat below. On the way down, she made a mental note to do a background check on the next belay buddy. She was falling from 15 feet. This was going to hurt. "Whoa, careful there!" The impact she'd anticipated didn't happen. Someone had come from nowhere and caught her before she hit the floor. Kathy opened her tightly shut eyes, half expecting to see a knight in shining armor. Instead, a tall guy in gym clothes and a baseball cap was helping steady her to her feet. "Close enough?" "That was a close one," Kathy said, taking off her helmet. "Thanks." "Not a problem," he said. "What happened up there?" Kathy wasn't sure how to answer. She couldn't very well say she thought she saw a superhero running through the gym. Luckily, she wasn't given the time to respond. "Kathy!" Quinn had rappelled down as fast as she dared and was obviously concerned. Her roommate really did have great timing. "Are you all right?" "Yeah," Kathy said reassuringly. "I just lost my grip. I'm good." "Thanks to this guy." Quinn turned to the sweatpants-clad stranger. "That was amazing." The guy shrugged. "It was nothing. Just glad I could help." "Don't be so modest," Quinn went on. You had just walked through the door when she fell." He smiled, and it was like those pearly whites had superpowers, rendering Quinn speechless, just as Phoenix's had Kathy earlier that day. "Do you go to school here?" Kathy found herself wondering aloud. He seemed very familiar, and she thought she recognized his voice. "Oh, no, I just pop in the gym sometimes since it's free to the public during daylight hours." "Right, maybe that's where I've seen you." "It's possible," he said, knowing full well it wasn't. This was the first time he had ever stepped foot in the Casey Garner Recreational Center. He, Adam, as the blue shadow, had been pursuing a lead when he passed by the window and noticed Kathy on the rock wall. Had she seen him? He genuinely hoped he hadn't been the reason she lost her focus. "I'd love to stay and chat, but I'm going to be late for a weightlifting class." "Oh, okay, have a good time," Kathy said, wishing slightly that she hadn't chosen to wear her old high school chorus t-shirt, just because it still fit. "Wait," Quinn instructed. "What's your name?" He looked at her and extended his hand. "My name's Max Riley." Quinn smiled. "I'm Quinn, and this is Kathy." She shook his hand. "It's nice to meet you, Max Riley. Feel free to rescue my roommate anytime." "Nice to meet you, too," he said. "I really do have to go, though." "See you later, maybe," Quinn said, probably with more enthusiasm than intended. She smiled at him again. "Have a nice day, hero." "I was just in the right place," Adam said, thankful he seemed to have played the part of a regular workout junkie well. "Well, thanks again," Kathy said. He nodded and headed for the stairs. When he was out of sight, Quinn looked at Kathy. "I'm sure glad he showed up when he did. You could have broken something." "That would have made taking that test a bit difficult," Kathy joked. Quinn laughed, and the two picked up their gear and headed towards the desk to return the climbing equipment. Their friendship allowed them to silently agree it was time to leave the gym and head on to the dining hall for ice cream. Kathy's head was once again swimming with questions, but at least she had Quinn's good humor and the upcoming exam to redirect her thoughts. A knife blade pierced the table's surface.
"All right, gentlemen. You've all seen her. That little silhouette with the hips and the chest. It's not the shadow. So who is it?"
A group of thugs around the poker table all shrugged in a very nervous way.
We don't know, boss. Listen, if the big man himself keeps getting word that 50% of the deals we make are getting listened in on, and our people keep getting busted no matter how many rats we kill, the boss is gonna off all of us and start this gang up again from scratch if he has to.
The men all cringed equally.
Now, what do we know?
The man obviously in charge asked gruffly. His cronies all looked around sheepishly.
Have we not followed her? Not yet, boss,
one man said, receiving a scowl from his superior.
We'll set something up. Make sure she shows. Get eyes on her and follow her. Now, boss, post a guard, set up a camera, paint yourself the color of the ground, and wait, I don't care! Just make sure you're watching when she shows up.
They all sat in ashamed silence.
Now, find me a new bank job. And I don't care if we can't get the tellers and guards on board or not. We're going to make it up to the boss and deliver what we got lost. Got it?
They all nodded and exited fast.